And today's subject is distress to de-stress. In the 21st century, you find the disease of the 21st century is stress. Many years ago, it used to be infectious diseases. Then it became hypertension, diabetes, this, that, and the other. Today, the overriding concern is stress. Yet, in the 21st century, in these days, like no other time before, there is an accent on performance, on excellence. There is this pressure to perform from within, from society. So how do you reconcile the two? The two, in fact, are antonyms. When you are in stress, you cannot come up with your best performance. And when you're performing to your best ability, you have to be necessarily in peace. So Vedanta says that samam means equanimity, absolute tranquility, peace, calm is the key to success, happiness, and growth. I know those of you who are sitting on this side perhaps can't see what's on the screen here. There's been a mistake of placement. But anyway, you haven't missed much because I'm repeating everything. So samam is the key to success, happiness, and growth. This is contrary to modern and Western ideas. They feel that you have to be in stress, you have to be in a state of discontent to be able to perform. So, this is it. Our actions today spring from agitation. It is when you are not happy with what you have, you want something that you don't have, that you get galvanized into action. This is animalistic. If you watch what an animal does, it's exactly like that. It gets a sudden impulse which transforms into a convulsion and it expresses as action, like hunger. When the pangs of hunger gets to the animal, it gets into a convulsion, it has to find a prey. If it doesn't find an animal, its natural prey, it pounces on the human being. But that's what the animal is. The human being is not meant for that. If you go back into evolution of species, you find that when mammals came into being, they had a distinct edge over all other creatures because they had what is known as homeostasis. They had the capacity to maintain a steady body temperature irrespective of what the environment provided. The environment could be sub-zero, freezing temperatures. It could be 50 degrees centigrade. But the inner temperature of all mammals is constant. The oxygen levels in your blood are constant. Even if, for instance, when there are sudden spurts of demand in oxygen, like when you exercise, the system quickly balances itself. Somehow it accesses oxygen to maintain that same level. But when it comes to the human being has, in addition to this, which is by default you have this mechanism. In addition to this, the human being has the capacity to what you call as mental stasis. This is a term I've coined. There's no such thing. It only means mental equanimity. The human being has this fantastic capacity to remain tranquil, to remain calm in moments of travail, of disturbance, of challenge and difficulty. Something that is denied to every other species. Yet, how many of us are living up to it is a question. Attitude control is what we have. We have no control over what the world has to offer to us. We have no control over the attitude, behavior, conduct of people around us, but we certainly have 100% control over our own attitude. Dr. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who lived through one of the worst German concentration camps, says this. He says, when the German soldiers abused them, tortured them physically, emotionally battered them, intellectually finished them off. When they abused him, he says, what are they actually saying? He says, they're using the same 26 letters of the alphabet rearranged in a particular way. When someone abuses you, have you ever thought of it like this? He says, but it is in my control how I choose to rearrange those same alphabets so that it doesn't disturb me. And that's how, because of attitude control, he survived the travails, the difficulties of a concentration camp. Now mind you, you and I are not going through anywhere near the challenge of a concentration camp. It might feel so sometimes, when the spouse is difficult, when the boss is demanding, when the stock market crashes or whatever be your challenge. It may appear so, but it is nowhere near that of a concentration camp. And if Viktor Frankl could have achieved this attitude control, you and I can well afford to exercise this option. Remember this. Here you have an excellent opportunity to exercise attitude control. When a mobile phone rings, instead of getting irritated, understand it's the same sound that you were hearing earlier as a bhajan is now appearing as a mobile phone ringing. Right? When you understand that, you'll automatically switch off your own mobiles. Anyway, so the best performance comes from a calm mind. You have the knowledge, you have the skills, you have the abilities to perform the work that you are supposed to perform. Yet, when the mind is agitated, the intellect with which you can access that knowledge gets clouded and actions get impaired. That's how, when the mind is agitated, you are not able to perform to your fullest capability. So therefore, we're not just talking about stress and the debilitating effects that it has on one's health, on one's sleep, on one's relationships, etc. We are talking about even performance. How to leverage the talent and the skill that you have for your benefit and for the benefit of society is the question. When you're in stress, you can't do any of it. So what we need to understand is, what is it that disturbs the mind? What disturbs the mind? When you are in stress, and I'm sure all of us are in stress at some point of time, what is it that disturbs you?